Hey guys, good morning. I wanted to talk about something that I think is affecting nearly every person who is consuming manifestation content on YouTube, and just remind you of some things. These aren't things you've never heard before, but there's a lot of stuff flying around in this community, and some of it's bad and some of it's really good, but no matter what, there's a lot of it. And anytime there's a lot of something, you can only retain so much of it. That's why it's good to repeat things. If you want to master a subject, you're not going to get it all right away. And there are a lot of important things to start to absorb and adopt, because everything having to do with manifestation and the implications, what it actually means about the nature of reality, if your mentality can actually alter your experienced reality, the implications of that are huge and really can't be ignored, because this isn't just about getting stuff, and that becomes pretty apparent pretty fast, I think. You never get there. As long as you're alive and in this realm and experiencing things, you're going to have new desires and new things that you want to change about your reality, new things that you want to have do, things you want to change yourself into, all of that. And if you focus on that, if the process of getting that intention out there and the final manifestation of that intention is all you really care about, you're missing 99.9% of your life. Who really gives a shit about the manifestations that come if the rest of the time all you're doing is existing in a state of anxiety, worry, dissatisfaction, all of that? I mean, that should seem obvious, but from what I've seen in this community, it's not. What I wanted to say that I think people often forget, and that the intention here for me is to help to remind of something that will improve your experience. I mean, you're going to have to find a way to be happy right now, right here, at some point. And maybe you're still chasing the idea that something external will make that a lot easier. And I can respect that, and we all feel that way about things. But in the meantime, while you're in the interim between step 1, which is intending, and step whatever, which is receiving the full experience of the manifestation of something, what a lot of people experience is anxiety and worry, just overall bad feelings regarding the things that they think are going to have to happen in order for them to move from point A to point B. So if you're in a job you don't like and you want to get into a job you do like, or you want to start a business or do something different, there are these perceived things that will have to happen to get from point A to point B. And even if you're manifesting that, even if you're manifesting the, ideal end situation, it's very easy to become trapped in the perceived details of what you think is going to have to happen. And this is just a reminder that before you ever knew about manifestation, you can check back through your own experience to confirm this. Things rarely play out the way you think they will. The things that you imagine will have to happen, are rarely as bad as you think they're going to be. It's that simple. But when you add in the fact that you really don't have any idea how any of these things are going to happen, you really have no idea how you're going to be moved from point A to point B. Even more so, worrying about it is a complete waste of time. And when you find yourself worrying, you can stop and remind yourself of that. And maybe the first time it doesn't help all that much, but this is a practice, something that must be done repeatedly. It's not a one and done. So as you continuously disrupt these periods of anxiety and worry that you may have been experiencing regularly, as you continue to disrupt that, it will take more. It'll get in there more. It'll start to shift you a little more until you eventually get to the point where it's second nature to not even go there anymore. The second you start to feel that unpleasant feeling of worry or, thought about some imagined aspect that will have to happen, you will automatically just stop. It'll just stop happening. These are all just habits, just things that you've done so many times in your life. If you're like 40 years old, think of how many times have you worried about something that you imagined was going to have to happen? Millions? I don't even know how much it would be at that point. But the point is that even more so, I think, when you become aware of the just infinite number of possibilities, infinite number of ways that you can be moved from point A to point B being your manifestation, being fully realized. I think as you become more aware of that in a real sort of visceral way, one, your experience improves, and two, I think, for me personally, I feel as I've become more aware of this, it's almost like, the choreographing forces of the universe are giving me even easier ways to things that I want. So it's almost like the more you lean into and become comfortable with and, put your faith and trust in this process, it seems like you get an even better experience. Like you were never, things were never happening the way you feared they were in the first place. How many times did you worry about a situation that never even happened? How many times did you in your life do that? Something like that, just worry about some interaction you were going to have with somebody and then it didn't even happen, or when it did, it was completely different from what you thought it was going to be, or just whatever. A million examples like that. Things were never happening the way you thought they were going to, but it seems that the more you lean into this, the more, the more often you'll experience a sort of surprising and delightful path gets you to the place that you thought you were going to have to go through a bunch of shit to get to. And, things, what's funny about it, and what's I feel like is almost more proof of this concept, is that depending on how you feel about different areas of your life, you can be experiencing this differently. So you can be experiencing kind of like this magical path towards things in one area of your life where you've really let go and where you've really just kind of cleaned everything out and are existing in a state of sort of no mind about it and just positive expectancy. And you can experience this, what I'm talking about, in those areas while still sort of, dredging through shit in other areas. More proof of concept that the more you get out of the way and the more you remove yourself and your mind from the process, the easier and better it is. But people in general, it's kind of a human plague, or at least a modern human plague, a current human plague, is just people worry about the things that are going to happen. You have a job that you're in, and you're treading water because, it gives you a good paycheck, but you just hate the job. Or, you like the job, but it just doesn't pay what you need it to pay. And so you're just kind of like, I'm kind of in no man's land here. I don't want to leave this job because either, I'm not going to have enough, I might not have enough money then, or I might hate my new job, or whatever. It's like you have this idea that certain things are going to happen. I'm going to have to interview. I'm going to have to go on interviews, which I hate, or I'm going to have to start, with new coworkers. And I always hate that period where like, I don't know what I'm doing and I don't know anybody. You like go through these things in your mind and they create this feeling of resistance. Oh, God, I don't want to do that. I want to resolve this thing that's not working, but man, I don't want to have to do all that stuff. And even if you've manifested it, you still find yourself in the real world thinking real world thoughts like that. It's so easy to do that, and to lose sight of the fact that there are a million different ways that you could be moved out of the mental, emotional situation that you're not happy with. I mean, you could be promoted in the work that, in the place you're already in. Even if you can't see any way that could happen, it could happen, believe me. Whatever situation you don't like at your job that does pay you what you want could change easily. I mean, everything is so easily changed. Even if it just doesn't appear like there's any way for that to happen, there is always a way. There's always a lot of ways that you just cannot conceive of with your human mind. Not to mention that moving from one occupation to another, though the typical way is to look for jobs and apply for them and interview for, people get jobs all kinds of ways. I mean, you could run into somebody today that moves you right into a job that you want. And if you think that doesn't happen, I have had so many experiences like that just, so many experiences that are just so improbable that I could never be a doubter again. They happen. And the more you lean into this whole thing, the more they seem to happen. Or the more you actually are able to perceive them right there waiting to happen for you. So, this is a practice. It's not a one and done. It's not, I read this manual, now I'm an expert. It's not, I heard that to play tennis, you pick up a racket and hit a ball over a net. That is not what this is. This is a daily, hourly, situation by situation opportunity to change the way you are thinking about things and doing things. Anyone who tells you otherwise is blowing smoke, especially if they say it in the name of Neville Goddard, who read his fundamentals lecture. And my friend Cecilia has some Neville Goddard Kindle ebook or something that is not in the public domain. I don't know why. Pretty sure all of his, or at least it's not out there for free online like most of his stuff is. And in one of his lectures in the 60s, so, pretty late into his career, after he'd written, I think, almost everything, and there's a million lectures out there, he says in one of these, I wish I had it in front of me, paraphrasing, "I'm a teacher of this stuff, and I still have to monitor my inner talking all the time." He basically said, if you think that that's not happening with me, you're wrong. I often think if I'm struggling with this, how is the average person struggling with this? It's a practice all the time for the vast, vast majority of people. I do think there are people out there that have a sort of instantaneous awakening. If that happens to you, you'll know. Until then, this stuff is pertinent for you. It's a daily practice. And it's just a series of corrections, essentially. It's a series of catching yourself and correcting yourself. Not in any kind of exhausting way, not forcing anything. But if you find yourself where this should be a relief, really. If you find yourself in that state of where, you're thinking about this thing you think is going to have to happen. I'm in this relationship that I'm not happy in. This is another good one. I'm in a relationship I'm not happy in. But, too good to leave. Too good to leave, too bad to stay. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to go through a breakup. I'm gonna have to, whatever your imagined scenario is to move into a better situation. Or, if you're single and you want a partner, I'm gonna have to date. I'm gonna have to go on a dating app. I'm gonna have to go on a bunch of bad dates. And it's very easy to start going down one of these roads with something that, you want this thing, but you don't want to do it, what you have to do to get it, what you have to do. You don't have to do anything. I mean, you don't have to do the things. You don't necessarily have to do anything. There are a million ways to get the thing you want. You know, when I was single and 40, I caught myself a few times saying, well, I'm just going to have to deal with it. I'm just going to have to, you know, I hate the dating process. I hate all this stuff. Like, such a drag. And oh God, you know, these days you have to go on a dating site. There's just no way to meet anybody anymore. It only took a few times of catching that and correcting it and just saying, nah, I don't have to do that. I have no idea how I'm going to meet somebody. I own a business. I have no exposure to anybody via like what I spend most of my time doing. And I'm not super social. So I'm not going to like probably be introduced to somebody through friends. Even that, you know, even these ideas like, oh, there's the odds of me meeting somebody at work are nothing. The odds of a friend introducing me to somebody are nothing, because, you know, for me, it's like, oh, I've got, you know, just the one friend, really, the one good friend that I have. And I don't really talk, I am kind of exposed to people at work occasionally. I buy stuff from vendors. My friend could introduce me. You know what I mean? Like, even those thoughts weren't really right. It's just like the odds are tiny. I have no idea how I'm going to meet somebody. I ended up meeting my fiance through Reddit/this channel. And that was after just saying, I don't have to do anything for this. I don't want to, so I'm not going to. You know what? If that means that I can never have what I want, fine, screw it. Because I don't want to do, I don't want to do any of that stuff. That was my surface level thinking. I'm just like, screw it. My romantic fulfillment is a done deal. I'm just not even going to worry about it. And it just flowed to me. I didn't have to do anything, nothing. I didn't lift a finger to meet Matt. So this idea that you have to do things is, it's a waste of your precious energy. And usually when the thing you want manifests is when you get so tired of feeling that way, of, existing in the state of limbo or purgatory, as the case may be. You're constantly worrying about what's going to have to happen. Usually things manifest when you just get so tired of it, you say, screw it, I don't even care. I'm so tired of worrying about this and feeling anxiety about it that I'd rather just not have it and be peaceful. And then boom, there it is. So how that energetically works, we don't quite know yet. But for the purposes of this video, the reason I'm talking about this is that your life is what happens in between your intentions and the manifestation of your intentions and then the birth of a new desire. Your life is filling the interspaces of all of those gaps in between. And spending your time worrying feeling anxiety and dread is arguably one of the worst ways to spend your life, if you ask me. So catch it as it's happening and remind yourself that things never play out the way you think they will, and that there are an infinite number of routes to get you from point A to point B, and that the sooner you stop worrying about it and get out of the way and move your mind to some other space, you got to find something to do with your time. You've got to find an interest, something that you feel passionately about, something that you feel like makes this life worth living. The sooner you shift to that and stop giving energy to these ideas, I think the sooner you find the easy ways to things start cropping up and surprising things start happening, and the things you think you're gonna have to do just turn out to be completely irrelevant to the way the story ends up being written. So, okay, I've said enough about this. I hope that reached somebody who needed to hear it today. Maybe somebody out there is starting to embrace the idea that this is not some sort of a magic trick, and that it is actually like any other thing that you master, something that basically has to be adopted as a daily interest and a daily practice. The sooner you start picking up the guitar and playing it every day, the sooner you're gonna get to that 10,000 hours or whatever the commonly accepted amount is that it takes you to get really, really proficient at something, rather than just continuously looking for a shortcut to learning how to play guitar really fast so you can be a rock star. So good luck with that. And I hope you have a great day. And I think Neville Goddess is back. I think this is the beginning of season, whatever, 5, 4. I think it took a year off in there. Have a great day.